All right, so we finally got to sit down and see the Vourdalak, or Le Vourdalak. This is a French film, and it is okay. So we were about 15 minutes into this movie, and there was this little piece of dialogue where they were like reading this father's note and saying, you know, if I'm gone for more than 6 days, on the sixth day at this time, say goodbye to me. I'm dead. And that's that, right? And as soon as they said that, I was like, wait a minute. This piece of dialogue is identical, almost identical, to the second segment in Black Sabbath, the Mario Bava film from 1963. And I was like, because I'd shown that to Kaylee maybe in the last couple of years, and so it was pretty fresh in my memory. And I saw that scene, I was like, wait, can it be? I didn't remember the name of that segment. And then when I looked it up, it was the Vordalock with a W. And I was like, okay, well, obviously there. And then I looked up a little further into this, and this is a full version of that story, which is a like French, I don't know if it's a poem or like a short story or something from like the 1800s. My friend Daniel told me that it's a great read, so I should definitely check it out at some point. So if you are familiar with Black Sabbath and you are a fan of that, it's one of the greatest horror anthologies ever made. I couldn't recommend it higher. It has the scariest face in all of horror history in it, in my opinion. In the third segment, A Drop of Water. Moving on from that, this was a film that I knew pretty much nothing about. I kind of had an inkling. Like I kind of thought I knew, and I was right to a degree. But man, let me tell you something. Once again, I know I'm like a broken record at this point, but that's how it feels. Like this is the hardest year I will ever have making a top 10 list ever, because I adored this film.
Yeah.
I loved it. You know, we went and saw Nosferatu as well tonight. And this is so similar-ish, right? Like, it doesn't have the same feel per se, because but it does. So it is a period piece. It's set in like the 17th century, I think, and it's a emissary for the king, and he's like lost in this forest, and he needs a horse, and he goes and he finds this family who said they're going to give him a horse, and he has to like spend the night. And while he's there, he kind of starts to fall for this one of the sisters, or you know. And while he's there, the father has went away to battle, and he says in a note that if he doesn't return on the sixth day, that they should mourn his loss and move on. But unfortunately, he returns after the sixth day, and you know the family is pretty superstitious, except for the older brother, and they think he's a Vourdalak. And one aspect of the film, I can say, I think, what in the holy hell? Our animals are going after each other. They're scared of the Vordalock, so they're going to hide.
They should be.
Okay. I want to say this, and then I'm definitely, I know what your thoughts are, but I want you to tell everyone of this film, is that we don't get to see the father before he leaves. So when he comes back, us as the audience, having never seen him, it's very obvious. Very obvious
he is, in fact,
that he is something, not human. I mean, it's not even remotely close to a human being.
Yeah.
But one of the brothers is in full denial, and they all kind of try to go along with it like he's just a normal guy, kind of. And I could definitely see people being put off by that. And I could also see dumb people, the worst of people, not loving the way the Vordalock looks. That's like the best shit ever.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
The Vordalock is fucking amazing.
It's incredible. Yeah, I thought this movie was phenomenal. I was like totally blown away by it. One thing that we haven't mentioned yet that I do want to talk about is that this film, not only is it a period piece, but it straight up looks like it was made in the 70s 100%. In the best possible way.
100%.
Like you could put this on and tell someone that it was a 70s film and they'd be like, okay.
I'd believe you 100% without
It's
question.
it is gorgeous. I mean, like the feel of it, it's just got this grittiness that like film quality had that, from the 70s had. Um the cast, like the actors themselves all have these really unique like non-modern looking faces, even though this film was released this year,
Yeah.
which I kept asking him. I was like, when did this come out? Wait, when did this come
Yeah.
out?
She thought it was like the 60s or the 70s. And I was
It
like,
was incredible.
I
So
completely
much.
understand.
Yeah. And so that's wonderful. That's also something that, some people might not like, but I think that like being able to so accurately recreate like a very specific feel and vibe from the 70s of like 70s horror movies is such a huge accomplishment, and it's so artistic and so cool. Um but yeah, I thought that everything in this was fantastic. I love the performances from people. I love the set design and the Vourdalak. Like that design is wild. It is so wonderful and so cool. And when we say wild, like
Yeah.
it's hard to not to talk about it without spoilers because it's kind of. I'll just say that there's some puppetry possibly going on, most likely. I mean, yes, definitely, and that's what's so impressive about it because I think we've talked about in some other reviews that we rarely see puppets in like horror films, and it's
Yeah.
such a treat because I think that puppetry is like this. It feels like a lost art. I feel like just puppets in general aren't used as much. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
When she's saying puppets, just so that we're
it's not
clear,
like a
we're not
sock
talking
puppet.
about, yeah.
Like we're talking like Jim Henson, like these like really intricate puppetry, like that. It's just it adds a level of creepiness and like uncanny valley and like just this off-putting feel that you don't get when you put an actor in like costume and makeup, or when you do like CGI special effects, like that kind of thing. Like it's a very specific feel of practical effect when you have a puppet involved, and I love it. I've always loved it.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, like it's for sure like the highlight of the film. There's so many scenes that we were like, how are they doing this? Like, wait, what? So it's just very magical in that way. And it's creepy. It's really creepy. There's a lot of scenes that are just like, what's happening? Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Why is that going on? So yeah, it's totally fantastic, totally unexpected to, kind of movie we just throw on and then we're like, oh my gosh, this is a total gem.
Yeah, this is such a wonderful double feature with
Yes.
Nosferatu.
Yeah, if you can do that.
It is on Hoopla, so you can watch it for free if you have a library card and have access to Hoopla. That's how we watched it. And following this with Nosferatu was such a great pairing.
So
I
good.
couldn't recommend doing both of these together higher.
Yeah.
But the Vordalock is my favorite creature design and execution of the year. I think that, unless I'm forgetting something, there's been so many. I mean, this is like close to the 300th film that I watched this year in the horror genre from 2024. So there's definitely a lot of contenders, no doubt. But regardless, there were scenes where I genuinely don't know how it was done. I don't, because the budget felt so modest.
Yeah.
Because the scene felt so seamless. Now, okay, if you want to avoid any kind of like spoiler toward the Vourdalak itself, like I know we already kind of revealed it's a puppet, but I am going to liken it to something just because I think this might give you the best idea of what to expect from it. So if you don't want to hear that, you can definitely shut this off. But I would say the closest thing that I've seen to this is the zombie in the original Return of the Living Dead, when it's sitting on the table and they're talking to it, and it's a woman. Now in this movie, Vordalock is a male, but when they're talking to her and they're like, why do you eat? And she's like, the pain, it hurts to die, like, that chick that's on the table, and it's all like animatronic.
I feel myself rotting.
animatronic puppet. I
Yes.
want to say animatronic might feel more accurate.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
some
it's
form of puppetry, but animatronic
right.
puppetry. But there's scenes where it's walking,
Oh my gosh,
and we get to see it like almost full body or
it's
completely
so
full body,
cool.
and it's fucking crazy.
It's so scary because it really is like I think I made a joke where I was like, it's just an actual Vordalock.
It's the more,
Like
it's
it's
the more
real.
unsettling thing
Yes.
I've seen,
Very unsettling.
because as you said, I think that's the perfect comparison, is that uncanny valley
Yes.
feel of like, what is this
Like that's
thing,
not a
and
real person,
why is
but
no one reacting to this the way they should be reacting to
yeah.
this thing?
I'm like, oh, I want to know what did he look like before? But just such a great I'm super curious about the short story or the poem or whatever this is based on.
Yeah.
Because it's such a cool story and it's such it feels like a very unique vampire story too because there's like an element that I won't say for like how the Vordalock like chooses victims, which I think is really cool. And yeah, I don't know, it was just such a treat. It really
Yeah.
was such a treat to watch.
And our main guy here definitely was giving me like Ichabod Crane vibes
Yeah.
hard in the beginning. It felt like
Yeah.
it was going to turn into Sleepy Hollow for a minute.
Yeah.
But he genuinely felt like the embodiment of that, like, you know, highfalutin, high
Yeah.
class Frenchman with the painted white face and the rosy
They
cheeks and
all
the like
felt
the
like
little birth, the
yeah.
little beauty mark and the wig.
They felt like they were like plucked from another era and just put into a film.
And the kid who plays him is only like 25, but they
Fantastic
like shave
performance
his
though.
hairline and give him like, it looks perfect. Like I thought he was like a
Yeah.
40 something year old balding man.
Yeah.
So incredible there on hair and makeup, because I looked up the kid. He has like a totally normal hairline, and everybody in the film feels like they were pulled out of a different era.
Yeah.
And this is probably the most impressed I've ever been with just a like a recapturing
Mm.
of a specific look of a
Mhm.
time period. Like,
Yeah.
this genuinely, honestly felt like it was filmed in the 70s. And
Yeah, it's such great aesthetic.
because even with something like House of the Devil, which was one of the more impressive
Mm.
ones I'd ever seen, I know Dee Wallace, I know
Yeah.
Tom Noonan, right? Like I know those faces, so they take you out of it a bit.
Mhm.
And even now, Jocelyn Donahue and Greta Gerwig, who I didn't know at the time, and Adam Bowen. I know those people now, and so when I watch it, even more now so, because I'm like, I know these people. But with this one, I don't know any of these fucking people,
No, and
and
it
they all have these faces that don't look of this time. And my God, what an immersive experience
so immersive.
that
Yeah.
I could 100% throw this on for anybody who's never heard of it, even a film buff,
And
and be
say it's
like,
from the
this was filmed from
70s.
the 70s, as some like lost film from the
Well,
70s. They'd be like, oh wow.
because even like for House of the Devil, like yes, I think you're right.
Except for
Like
maybe the puppetry. I think they'd be like, no way they could do that in the 70s.
I don't know. I don't know.
Jim Henson could have done it.
Yeah, but I was gonna say this has like I don't know if I would say like an underground feel to it, but it has this like House of the Devil feels like you would find like any like well-known giallo from the 70s. Like it
Mm.
has I don't want to say it's like I guess maybe polished is what I'm looking for, like a little bit more of a polished feel. But this
Mm.
one, it's not that it's rough, it's just that it has a grittiness to that like visual quality of the film that is missing in like the House of the Devil where like you know what I mean? Like there's a
Mm-hmm.
graininess to this that I really love. Which again, like some people might be like, this sucks. Like I want it to be clear. I want to like which I get. Like if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But for us, like this was just such a vibe and it had such great aesthetics and just it was incredible.
Yeah,
It
it
was
kind of
really
reminded
incredible.
me of like Nosferatu meets The Devil's Bath or something like
Mm.
that. But
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would say this is probably the best like indie hidden gem of the year.
Absolutely.
This is the
Absolutely.
one that I'm gonna be like, any horror buff who is into these types of films, I'm going to be all over their shit.
Yeah.
To be like, you got to see this one. This is going to be one that's going to be overlooked, and it's going to be tragic.
Yeah.
That it was, because this is a filmmaker that should be getting tons and tons of attention now.
Absolutely.
I think this is as impressive of a debut as The Witch. Like, I think this is fantastic and should be getting way more attention than it is.
I agree. Yeah.
So
definitely watch it, and then go watch Nosferatu, and then you can watch our review on Nosferatu, or you can watch our review first and then go watch Nosferatu. Yeah. It's a really good double feature for sure. But even if you don't watch both of them, like, watch this one too. And
it is still technically Christmas for the next 15 minutes. So
Merry
once
Christmas.
Again, Merry Christmas.
Yes.
And we'll see you soon enough.
Yes.
All right. Bye.
Bye.